All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about a really controversial piece of EU law that, honestly, a lot of us thought was dead and buried. This is a proposal that could completely change what it means to have a private conversation online. That quote really says it all, doesn't it? What was declared dead lives on. It's the perfect way to describe what's happening with the child sexual abuse regulation, or as most people call it, check control. It's like a zombie law. It just keeps coming back, and this time it's in a much sneakier disguise.
So let's break this down. What exactly is this new proposal? And why is it causing such an uproar with privacy experts and tech companies? I think to really get it, we have to go back and see how this thing was beaten the first time, and then how it came back to life.
Okay, so here's the quick history. Back in 2022, the plan was pretty blunt. Make services like WhatsApp and Signal scan all of our private messages. As you can imagine, that didn't go over well. There was massive resistance, and the EU Council shot it down. But fast forward to now, a new draft is coming, and it brings the whole idea back, but with a really, really clever twist. So here's the new sales pitch. The proposal is being sold as this harmless compromise, and the big change is that scanning your messages is now voluntary. Yeah, companies can just choose not to do it. Sounds good, right? Well, this is exactly where things get really tricky. And that's the question you're probably asking right now, right? If it's voluntary, what's the big deal? Well, the problem is that this whole thing is a setup. The law is written in such a clever way that it gives companies a choice that isn't really a choice at all. So how do they do it? It's something that experts are starting to call a liability trap. And honestly, it's a pretty brilliant piece of legal trickery. The goal is to get to mass scanning without ever having to say the word mandatory. Okay, just imagine this for a second. Let's say a company like Signal says, nope, we're not going to voluntarily scan our users' messages. Step one. Then, step two, the authorities can just turn around and label them a high-risk service. What does that mean? Well, it means they're suddenly under a microscope with insane legal rules. And if just one single piece of illegal content gets through, they could be hit with penalties so huge it would literally destroy the company. So, when you put it all together, what you've got is a choice that's not a choice. The message is crystal clear. You don't have to scan. But if you don't, we will find a way to crush you legally. It's basically blackmail. Either you volunteer to spy on everyone, or you risk getting wiped off the map. Okay, so that's the legal trap. But what about the technology? How would this secure surveillance actually work on your phone? The EU keeps saying, don't worry, we're not breaking encryption, but the thing is, that claim only works if you totally redefine what encryption is in the first place. So think about how it works now. With real end-to-end encryption, your message gets locked in a digital safe before it leaves your phone, and only the person you send it to has the key. Simple. But this new thing, client-side scanning, is totally different. It puts a scanner inside your phone that checks everything you type and every picture you send before it gets locked in that safe. The spying happens on your device, right at the source. What this does is it basically installs a government-mandated bug in your pocket. And the risks here are massive. First off, these AI scanners make mistakes. A lot. So your innocent family beach photo could get flagged as something sinister and sent to a total stranger for review. But even scarier is the what-if scenario. Once you build this surveillance machine, you can point it at anything. Today it's one thing, but tomorrow, it could be scanning for political opinions they don't like, or even copyright stuff. All right, so with this massive threat hanging over everyone's head, you can bet some companies are starting to make some pretty drastic moves. They're looking at this whole system and saying, no way. And here's a perfect example. There's a messaging platform called Linkspreed. And get this, in a move that's just dripping with irony, this European company is picking up and moving its legal headquarters to the United States. Why? Because they think the U.S. First Amendment, which protects software code as free speech, will give them a better fighting chance against being forced to install this kind of surveillance. And they are not messing around. Their manifesto is simple. We will not bow down. They've made it absolutely clear. There will be no scanners in their software. Ever. They're literally willing to pull out of the entire EU market rather than compromise their users' privacy. That's a huge statement. So, where does this all leave us? Well, it takes us right to the political battlefield. And you have to remember, this fight is not over, not by a long shot. The future of your digital privacy in Europe is being hammered out right now, behind closed doors in Brussels.
And inside the EU Council, things are really split. You've got countries like France and Spain pushing really hard to get this passed. But then you have others like Germany and Poland who have been the main roadblocks. The problem is, word on the street is that the resistance is under a ton of pressure to just give in and accept this new voluntary compromise.
So what happens next is absolutely critical. Once the Council figures out where it stands, the whole thing goes into what's called the trilogue, basically secret negotiations between the big three EU institutions. This is where the final law gets written, all happening behind closed doors, away from any public scrutiny. And the details decided in those rooms will affect every single one of us.
You know, let's just zoom out for a second. Forget the politics, forget the tech. What's really at stake here? What's the big idea that's on the line? According to the source material we're looking at, it's something huge. It's about flipping one of our most fundamental rights completely upside down.
So really, it all boils down to this question. Are you a suspect until proven innocent? Because that's what this law does. It treats every single person, every citizen, as a potential criminal until some AI on your phone gives you the all clear. It takes the idea of innocent until proven guilty, a cornerstone of justice, and just throws it out the window. And in the end, that's what this whole debate is about. What kind of digital world do we actually want? Are we going to build an internet based on freedom and privacy? Or are we going to build what one source chillingly described as an iron curtain made of code? How we answer that question is going to define our digital rights for a long, long time to come.